Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Tombstone Tourist. This week, I've traveled to Leesburg, Virginia. This community dates back to the 1740s, when it was founded and named for the Lee family of Virginia. The Lees were a very prominent family during colonial times. Among its more notable family members was Thomas Lee, who was a member of the House of Burgesses, and Francis Lightfoot Lee and Richard Henry Lee, who were the only brothers to sign the Declaration of Independence. Today I'm visiting Leesburg's historic Union Cemetery, which was established in about 1855 as a public cemetery open to all faiths. At the entrance to the cemetery is this small sandstone chapel that was built in 1908. While not routinely used for services, this small chapel is a popular place for weddings and other religious functions. In addition to the historic chapel, this cemetery has another notable monument, a 30-foot tall granite column that was allegedly designed for the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. But it had several imperfections and was rejected. It was brought here to the cemetery in 1938. There are a number of notable people resting in this cemetery, including Union and Confederate veterans from the Civil War, naval architect Lewis Nixon, and professional football player Pat Fisher. But today, I'm here to visit one of the first superstars of early television. Here is the grave of Arthur Godfrey. Arthur Morton Godfrey was born in Manhattan on August 31st, 1903. In 1915, Arthur and his family moved to New Jersey. As the oldest of 5 children, Arthur worked at a variety of odd jobs, both before and after school. Following his freshman year in high school, Arthur dropped out of school to work full-time. When he was 17, Arthur was working as a civilian typist at Camp Merritt, New Jersey. It was then that he lied about his age and joined the Navy. In the Navy, Arthur served as a radio operator on destroyers, serving from 1920 to 1924. Following his discharge, he returned home to help take care of his ailing father. After his father's death, Arthur continued his radio training by joining the United States Coast Guard, serving from 1927 to 1930. After his Coast Guard service ended, he became a radio announcer for a radio station in Baltimore, Maryland, before moving to Washington, D.C., where he was hired as a staff announcer for WRC Radio. It was during this time that Arthur realized that announcers spoke in a boring, monotone voice and were required to read copy exactly as it was written. Their delivery was more like a formal speech. Arthur surmised that the announcers was just voices on the radio, and they were not really connecting with the average listener. Arthur decided that he would change his delivery from a very dry, formal version to a more relaxed, informal style. It was as if the person listening was the only person Arthur was talking to. This informal, personal delivery was an immediate hit, making Arthur somewhat of a regional star. He continued to improve on his personal style by adding jokes and a little comedy to the scripts. This too was an immediate hit. He continued in radio for the next several years, with his popularity growing with each passing year. Arthur became a national sensation in April of 1945 when he was working for CBS. It was during a first-hand broadcast of President Franklin Roosevelt's funeral procession that Arthur broadcast the events in a sincere, sympathetic tone. It was more like listening to one of your neighbors rather than listening to the stiff, formal delivery of a hard news reporter. As a result, CBS gave Arthur his own nationwide morning show, which ran every day Monday through Friday and featured interviews with various stars and a variety of entertainment. The Arthur Godfrey Time was an instant hit and remained a part of CBS Radio's network until 1972. In addition to scripted performances, the show also became known for impromptu jam sessions where Arthur would perform with his guest. The performers found this to be both relaxing and enjoyable, where they could step back and really be themselves, and the listening audience loved it. In 1948, while still popular with his radio audience, Arthur decided to enter the new medium of television. The Arthur Godfrey and Friends and Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts were both hits and broadcast on both radio and television. A number of future stars appeared as contestants on Talent Scouts, including Pat Boone, Tony Bennett, Damone, and Patsy Cline. Talent Scouts remained popular on both CBS Radio and CBS Television, and in December 1956, it became the first entertainment program to be videotaped for broadcast at a later time. In the late 1950s, television was changing. Rather than variety programs, the interest of the television audience was switching to westerns like Bonanza and Gunsmoke. The networks began to phase out shows like Talent Scouts. Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts aired for the final time on January the 1st, 1958. Arthur's success in radio and television allowed him the opportunity to pursue other interests, including his love for flying and aviation, along with an avid interest in horse racing. Having worked most of his career in the Washington, D.C. area, Arthur purchased a farm near Leesburg, Virginia, which allowed him the opportunity to pursue both of his hobbies. Here in Leesburg, Arthur was instrumental in building an airport near his home. In fact, Arthur donated the land that is today home to the Leesburg Executive Airport at Godfrey Field. In late 1972, Arthur's long-term contract with CBS expired and was not renewed. From time to time, Arthur would make guest appearances on a few of the more popular TV shows, and in 1978, he, along with Lucille Ball, hosted the CBS special 50 Years of Television. Arthur was a lifelong smoker and suffered with emphysema for several years. He was later diagnosed with lung cancer, which eventually claimed his life. Arthur Godfrey, one of TV's early superstars, passed away on March 16, 1983. He was 79 years old when he was laid to rest here in Union Cemetery, just a short drive from his Leesburg farm, and beside his wife Mary, who passed away on May 22, 1997. Well, that's going to wrap up my visit to the grave of Arthur Godfrey here at Union Cemetery in Leesburg, Virginia. If you remember Arthur Godfrey or any of the people that we visit in these videos, I hope you'll share your memories with us in the comments. Now, until next time, please remember, life is a wonderful journey. Be sure to take time and enjoy it. And I'll see you down the road. So long, everybody.